Hi, I'm Kathy Moore, and welcome to another episode of The Wellness Connection. I'm here today with John Petri. John is, as I've been told, an alphabioticist. He's also a Reiki master, and I'll let him tell you about some of the other things he does. We seem to be on a roll right now with working with right brain and left brain balancing. We just had a show on Psych K that will also be on the air. And it's interesting to me that when we work on these kind of shows that a lot of times they go in cycles. So I'm just learning about Alphabiotics. I just saw it demonstrated a minute ago, and you will see it here on this show. But I'd like to thank you for being here, John.
Well,
nice to meet you in person finally.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share the information with the viewers. And,
great. Now tell me a little bit, since it's brand new to me, and I usually keep up on most of what's going on out there, so I know most of our viewers probably won't know about it. What exactly is Alphabiotics?
Well, you know how stressed out and tense everyone is today?
No.
Well, it's kind of interesting is that stress is at an all-time high, and there's no end in sight.
Absolutely.
And it's getting more and more press everywhere, and people are concerned about stress these days. When we first started talking back in 1971 when Alphabiotics was founded, people really didn't see the correlation between stress and wellness and health and disease, but now research is actually proving out what we've known for a while. So Alphabiotics is really a proven hands-on system for integrating the brain hemispheres. But the first thing that it does is it takes you out of the inappropriate stress state. It's not about trying to heal, treat, or cure anyone of anything, because we believe that really only the wisdom of the body can do that, that innate power and wisdom within us. And as you know, we all started out as that single cell, right? And within that single cell, there was enough innate power and wisdom to create us, 130 trillion cells with all of these complex systems, and it all came from that single cell. And then with each one of us now, within each of those single cells is that same kind of consciousness and power. So what we do is that we get the stress out of the way. We take people out of an inappropriate stress state so that then the healer within, the inner innate power and wisdom, can take over and do what it knows to do in its own way, in its own time. Yeah.
Now what you told me earlier is that it deals with stress on the causal level.
Right.
What happens? I guess we better back up and start with, where did it come from? How did it get developed? Who developed it?
Dr. Virgil Crane Jr. Established it in 1971 as a wholly developed methodology, if you will, process for dealing with stress. The roots of it actually go back to the late 1920s with his father, Dr. Crane Sr. Dr. Crane Sr. had two earned doctorates in holistic health and was a natural intuitive and came up with the basics of the process. And then Dr. Virgil Crane Jr., he grew up in that environment, and he's a holistic practitioner as well with the earned doctorates. And he continued to research. They had research starting in the early 1980s with electroencephalograms and thermography and all those kinds of things to see exactly what was happening, to prove out what they intuitively knew was happening. And the results that they were getting were dramatic. Yeah.
Like what, for instance?
Well, the results on a physical level, we feel ultimately are only about 1% of the benefits. On a mental level, about 9%, mental emotional 9%. But the reconnection with spirit, if you will, with that innate power and wisdom within, with the life force energy, is about 90% of the benefit. Because what happens in the stress state, and what Dr. Crane found out, is that there is a downward cycle. So the first thing that happens is, well, there's different kinds of stress, as you know. There's simple stress and complex stress. Simple stress has a beginning and an end, came from ancient man. We developed it over thousands of years. It's the survival mechanism, the fight or flight mechanism. You know, we had the ancient man walking on the savannah, came across a lion. He had to fight or run away, he'd live another day. But that survival mechanism is in each of us today, and it serves us very well when there's an established beginning and end. car pulls out in front of you, you slam on your brakes, the heart pounds, and all of that happens. Blood pressure increases, more blood sugar goes through the system. All of those things are preparing us for battle. So we go through our lives because there's no turn-off with the low-level, unrelenting stress.
Chronic.
Chronic, exactly. Cumulative.
Information overload.
Dr. Hans Selye, medical doctor who devoted his life to researching stress and its effect on the body, he said that unrelenting stress, actually unrelieved stress, is the cause of all life's challenges. He included illness and disease in that, but all life's challenges.
Explain what that means exactly. I hear that a lot, and I believe it, but I really want our audience to understand what that means when you make a statement like that.
Okay.
Because I think people don't get the connection between their emotions and their spiritual issues and their physical health.
Okay, okay. Just as an aside, on the physical health side, the World Health Organization estimates that 85% of all deaths in the United States can be attributed to unrelenting stress. So it isn't just, you and I sitting here as stress experts talking about,
experts because we've learned how to live with it, right?
Exactly, exactly. So what happens is when the wisdom of the body perceives that there's a threat out there, whether real or imagined, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And it isn't the stressor itself, it's our reaction to it, how we deal with it. That's the problem. And the low-level, unrelenting stress of modern-day life. You got the home, you got the family, the relationships, you got job, and now we got the threat of terror. Is it safe to go to the ball game? Is it safe to fly in the airplanes? All of that just is accumulative.
Right.
And it just adds up. So with complex stress, simple stress is like taking a frog, putting it in a pot of boiling water. It's going to jump right out, right? If we take a frog and put it in a pot of cold water and then slowly turn up this temperature, it'll just sit there and be boiled alive.
Exactly.
Well, that's what's happening to you and I, but it's happening at a much slower rate. And our bodies are so adaptable that if we don't have the symptoms, we think we're okay. Okay? You look at the American Cancer Society says 100 years ago, 60 years ago, 1 in 100 people got cancer. Today, 1 in 3 get cancer, and 1 out of 5 who get it die from it. The lead-in time for cancer, and this is why it's important when we talk about stress, the lead-in time for cancer is anywhere from 3 years to 30 years. Okay? American Heart Association, over 1 million people die in the United States every year from heart-related diseases. Okay? 1 in every 2 people die from a heart-related disease. Now, for 300,000 of those people, the first symptom that they ever had was death. They died. People say, they were okay yesterday. No, they weren't. They were pre-heart attack yesterday. American Heart Association says that it takes about 43 years on average to reach the stage where you actually have that symptom, a heart attack. 300,000 people every year die as that's the first symptom. Now, we look at that, and it's like having a toothache. If you have a tooth that has a cavity, it takes about a year and a half before you ever have a toothache. Okay, so what's this got to do with stress, right? What it has to do with stress is that now we have the wisdom of the body perceives that there's a threat out there, a danger. Okay, so we go and start moving into the stress response. What does that look like? The brain lateralizes into its dominant hemisphere. For 85% of the American people, that's the left brain. Ancient man mostly was right brain, more emotional, intuitive, grounded kind of thing. Modern man with modern society, that's made us more logical, analytical, intellectual, that kind of thing. So 85% of the American people lateralize into the left brain. The right brain becomes more passive.